Carl, man, welcome to the show. So this is episode 7 of our show, and I'll fill really quickly. I do a little intro of so Carl, you've got Valiant Games going on, and obviously a lot of different projects. Bit of a serial entrepreneur in front of me here. There's a few threads I think I could pull at the beginning here, but let's start with you and how you got into the business community, your story of, were you always wired like this, or did you come out of the womb this way, or did you learn this as a kid? And how you found your way to Kelowna here.
Yeah, absolutely. So I would say I've always been wired like this.
Okay.
When I was a kid, I had a little rock stand in front of my grandma's house, and I'd go and I'd find the coolest rocks and, put them up there and have a little store. Nobody would come by, but I would just sit there for hours and, sold a couple rocks. A couple people came by and had the pity and saw something in me. But I would say, I grew up. I mean, my great grandfather was a wonderful entrepreneur. He was a World War II veteran. He got a parcel of land in Osoyoos, which is where I'm from. And he really cultivated that into an orchard. He subdivided everything, sold off some lots, and then ended up really building quite a substantial business. So back in the day, before the genetically engineered trees and all this stuff, a lot of the times the trees, I believe this is correct, but the trees would start collapsing under their own weight, the branches. So they would need props, which are basically just very thin trees that they would put and cut notches into, and then come in and place them underneath all the branches so that they could grow properly. Okay. So he had a massive business doing that. I mean, he was bringing in 4 truckloads at a time, doing all the truck. He supplied all up and down BC, into the States, things like that. So he did very well, and I kind of watched that. And, in my family, my dad's also an entrepreneur. He runs a furnace and duct cleaning company. He works on all the First Nations. So pretty much wired this way, but had to learn a lot through trial and error as well.
And what year would that have been when your great grandfather was kind of started on that journey, and where did he get there?
Oh man, geez, I don't even.
40s, 50s?
Probably. I mean, he was. I think he was in his late 80s when he passed, and that was, I believe, I would have been probably somewhere between 13 to 16, I want to say. So I'm 31 now. So, and he got started pretty young. So that would make sense. Somewhere around there, maybe the 50s or so.
Okay. That's an interesting time to be in business, man.
Yeah. Well, he had his business running up until the late 90s, maybe even later than then. So, yeah.
Wow. Okay. And he was it's interesting how you find a problem, you solve it, something as crazy as trees falling over.
It's
put
wild.
notches in trees and figure it out.
Yeah.
And, I think you start with a problem and you focus on it. Let's maybe talk about your business here and some of the problems that you're solving. What is your focus there, and how are you trying to provide value?
With Valiant currently.
Yeah.
Currently Valiant. Yeah, so I would say there's a lot of problems in the mobile gaming industry that we're targeting specifically. The number one problem that we find specifically in our industry is customer acquisition costs. So one of the biggest problems is that there's a lot of large incumbents that, roughly 10 companies take up 90% of the monetization of the market. So it's difficult for challengers to really enter into the market without a unique spin, a distribution advantage, something like that. And we've come up with a really unique proprietary method of solving that challenge head on, which is actually, I can't give away too much because it's kind of under wraps, but it's a
you
very...
don't want those 10 companies to swallow you up.
Exactly. But we've come up with a really interesting solution to that problem. That we find is going to really benefit. And then in terms of user problems, there's also a few that we're solving in regards to social features, things like that, things that just aren't currently being done in the mobile gaming market. But once again, I can't dive in too deep into that just because we're waiting to launch before, there's always a competitor looking and researching and trying to see what you're doing. So I got to kind of hold some of the secrets close to my chest, but we are solving a lot of problems in the gaming market.
And I think there's we can shift and turn that on its head from what are you guys doing specifically in business to how you think about business, and maybe not specific problems that you're solving, but what is our methodology to go in and to have a successful mobile game launch and to have a business that continues to operate? Like, how do you think about the world? How do you want to, build a team, and building a team now? Where do you see, let me rephrase that, your mentality behind business? Where do you see yourself in 10 years in that way?
Yeah. So first of all, when it comes to the methodology behind, a successful mobile gaming launch, I mean, there's a lot of different various factors that are brought into that. I think, there's three things in particular that really stand out. First of all, is your product. So obviously you need to be at a very hyper competitive level in terms of how does this product offering stand out compared to the, hundreds of competitors out in the market.
How many mobile games are there on like the App Store now?
Mobile games, I don't know the number off by hand, but there's it's got to be millions, I would imagine, if not high hundreds of thousands. Somewhere around there is my best guess, but I've never looked at the statistic to be honest. But yeah, I would say first of all, like I said, is product. You need to make sure that you're putting out an offering that you're proud of, you've validated, you've looked into, you've done the research, you know that people want it. That's the number one mistake a lot of entrepreneurs make, is building something they want, but not actually building something that the market wants. Number two is who's building that product, because you need to be understanding that this team has the capability of doing that vision of that project that you've done the research on and actually putting that out in the best fashion. Because you can have the best vision in the planet, but if you don't have the team that can actually assemble that and do the work, it's not going to be a success. And then number three, I think, would be, once again, distribution. I think especially in the age of AI now, where you're able to build a product in a comprehensive fashion, ship it very quickly. I mean, one of the biggest moats that you can build as a company or an entrepreneur is figuring out distribution early. And I think that really comes down to being creative and crafty and hacky in how you solve the distribution problem. Sure. You don't want to be looking at it like everyone else, like, okay, I'm going to spend for ads. You want to be looking at very creative ways that maybe other people haven't done before in order to get that distribution. Whether that be, if you're doing ads, taking this sort of risque model of marketing, or really kind of positioning your brand in a unique fashion to stand out. But I do highly suggest looking at alternative methods of advertising that you can figure out how to get those distributions solved. The second question was regarding
kind of a timeline. Where do you see that 10 years?
10 years, yeah.
Big fucking loaded question.
No, I've definitely thought about this though. So for me right now, I'm very passionate about gaming. It's something that I really enjoy doing, and I have such an amazing team around me. But eventually, after I get through this, build the game, exit it. So exit timeline, I'm looking for anywhere between 2 to 4 years, depending on the time it takes to scale the company. And then afterwards, what I really want to do is sit down, put together a group of very talented researchers and start looking into some of the biggest problems in the world and how emerging technologies can be used to solve those. So AI, robotics, things like this, satellites, because I really want to make an impact, like a dent in the universe, so to say. So more so than just, make a really entertaining game that, people are going to fall in love with and they can spend time and, it's a stress reliever, all that stuff. I mean, that's great and all, but ultimately, I do want to solve a very massive problem in the universe and really make a dent on the world. So I think, like I said, I want to put together some sort of like a think tank or a research group of just top researchers to really sit down and see what is feasible, what is near the edge of impossible, but also still possible, and tackle that. Because I've learned, like, you can do anything that you believe in. I mean, you look at Elon Musk, these entrepreneurs that put out these insane visions where it's everyone laughs at them.
Fathom it. Like, it's like, how is anyone gonna get this done?
But in the end, the timelines may be wrong, but they end up getting there. So any problem in the world is solvable as long as you have the right mindset. I think a lot of people cut themselves short. They think in very small terms. They have a lot of limiting beliefs, and that's something that I've learned through business, is that limiting beliefs are a killer. Anything's possible, and you just got to put your mind to it, right?
Yeah, there is no secret ingredient, as they say. Like, there's tactics and things you can do and ideate and creating ideas, but when it comes to believing that you can do it, there is no secret ingredient other than just fucking trying and going for it, right? Because you never know. Like, yeah, Elon Musk is a great example. Or take someone like Mr. Beast, like the channel and billions and billions of views on his YouTube channel, and his chocolate company that he's now built. I think of another example, like software as a service is something I talk about a lot. Has been completely destroyed. That whole industry, we went from a project that was, $5 million and costed a lot of money. We've completely blown the doors off of who can enter software. We have not caught up yet in terms of what people realize is actually possible. Unless I'm talking to someone like you who thinks this way and doesn't have limiting beliefs and is on top of this technology, like, people are blown away by things that were invented 2 years ago, thinking it's a new invention, and we're here. So staying relevant, staying on top of that, I think is a huge part of trying to be innovative and, change the world one dent at a time, right? I want to, I think a lot of people don't realize your mentality behind contacts. Business is very much a contact sport. And what I mean by that is who you know, who you can be in touch with, building a team, and not to mention, which I want you to talk about in a moment, but you're 25 people working on your team, and talent acquisition is a huge part of that. How do you put together 25 different people and coordinate this, this puzzle that they call business, right? How do you look for people? Give me like a 2 to 3 step model and what you look for in talent acquisition, and then how you find connections and people like celebrities and all these other people that are doing cool stuff.
Yeah, so first of all, let's break it down into the first step, which is what I look for in talent. I would say the number one, I think when you're starting a business versus when you're a little bit more established, I think there's 2 steps to that. The first one is finding generalist specialists. So it's a really unique kind of niche term. Okay. I may have just coined it, but basically what you want is someone who's worked in the industry a long time, but also has worn many hats. Maybe they've worked at a startup, something like that, or they have a lot of different skills. So what that helps you do is to kind of, and I'm not saying you need a lot of these guys, but you need people who are willing to step into different roles and start to take on some different things, especially if you're working with limited funding, because you need someone who can take on the role of, a product manager and a technical artist, for example, in gaming, because first of all, you're not going to have unless you have a lot of funding, then I might not recommend this route. But first of all, you're not going to have a lot of funding, and startups are high-paced, fast-moving things where a very niche specialist may not excel until you're at a little bit higher level of a skill, just because they have a specialized subset of skills where you as the founder, you may be entering an industry that you have no clue in. And so you trying to guide a specialist into something, it's like you're trying to do brain surgery because he has a very specialized small subset of skills, whereas a generalist can, you're like, hey, we need you to do this. He's like, yeah, that's great. But secondly, as you're scaling, I think that it is very important to get those specialists. And what I look for is people who have a lot of experience. When I first started out, I made a mistake of, okay, this guy's an artist, so he must be good at, art in my game. And, he's got 20 years of experience working in games. But what I didn't realize is that, he worked on computer games, and it's a completely different thing. Even though they're still both using Unity, there's a lot of things you got to look for, like poly count and things like that. So I think in an industry agnostic sense, I mean, you're looking at people who've worked very specifically in like the niche of the industry that you're working in, and have worked in it for a long time and have the track record to prove it and have done very good things with that. So I think that's the first thing that I look at.
I'm going to push back on that. How do you find general specialists? Well, maybe we'll give you that term for today. I've seen a lot of entrepreneurs who struggle with this. They cannot find, they're like, I need this, this, and this, and I need one guy to do all these fucking things. How do you find someone who does 3 or 4 things very well just on industry experience? Like, where do you look for these? Where are these unicorns hiding?
Yeah, I wouldn't say that you are going to necessarily find someone who does those 3 things very well. You're going to find someone who excels in one area, but has a little bit of a complementing skill set where they can help out here and there, especially in terms of like making your first hires for those areas, especially if you have no idea what you're doing to begin with. And you're not going to find a lot of those guys. I would say what it comes down to is interviewing a lot of candidates and asking them, say, hey, this is a startup environment, you're going to be wearing a lot of hats. Like, we do need a little bit stuff on the product management side or this side, the distribution side. Like, do you have any experience in that? Can you help out in that? And then it really comes down to the interview process and vetting the people and just volume of that. But like I said, you're not going to need a ton of those people. It's mainly just to help you make those other hires as you kind of start to scale.
So this is your foundation with these general specialists. And you tend to delegate and bring that further. So
and even better if you can find a founder like that, like a co-founder. I mean, that would be the ideal scenario where, you're good at, sales and marketing and distribution and, recruiting or whatever, and they're good at like ops and building and systems and all that sort of stuff. If you can both be sort of those generalists, that can be very effective. And then you can kind of work out from there after you've built it, especially with Claude and stuff these days. I mean, you can just build out an MVP in no time. So it's really dependent on what industry you're in, right?
Do you have so you have a business partner?
Yes.
How long have you been in business together?
Oh man, we've been working together for almost 5 years now. Wow, so it's been it's been a crazy journey for sure.
And you guys are in your catalog of businesses. Are you partnered with him on all of these? Some of these?
Yes, all of them.
All of them. Okay. Yeah. And 5 years, like, how did you meet this guy? Where do you find it's a big role to fill.
Yeah, so it was a funny story. I started out kind of building this gaming company on my own, and we were in crypto at the time. So I was an investor in crypto and kind of saw the gaming narrative blowing up. And crypto is very speculative, hype-driven, narrative-driven. It's not really based on business fundamentals. So you kind of have to ride the narrative waves at the time. And actually, like, I have a bit of a background in gaming, a little bit different. I founded, when I was in high school, I founded a gaming clan, and we were content creation clan. We had same sort of thing. We had 40 members, millions of views, hundreds of thousands of subscribers, and I was kind of like doing it in high school part-time. So it was a lot of fun. We were like the third best Modern Warfare 2 biggest clan. We were like, all our members got stolen by FaZe clan, stuff like that. So
oh my God. What was the name of your clan?
It was called Just Trickshotting.
Okay, sick.
Yeah. And then, sorry, I lost myself. We were going from so crypto, I was building this game out, had my cousin on board originally. He knew like a lot of like old like crypto money, like he was in like a bunch of whale chats and things like that. And so we're building that out. And I quickly realized, like, hiring a bunch of outsourcing people, building everything, design documents, raising funding, building a team, all this stuff was a lot of work for me to do on my own, which is what started my, kind of recruitment process, so to say. Yeah. And at the time I had no idea how to recruit. So I was in crypto group. So what did I do? I reached out into a crypto group, and I was like, dude, like, I'm looking for a project manager. I've been, this is what we're building, X, Y, and Z. And, this crypto group has like millions of messages just flying, right? And, Jason happened to reach out, and he was like, dude, like, man, I've been working with these guys for so long. I've been giving them great ideas, like, and, they're just a terrible team. They don't take anything. And like, I feel like I'm built for this. And so I get on a call with him, and he's like, the most energetic person I've ever met. Like, you'll literally never meet a person as charismatic as Jason. It's crazy. Every day he can wake up like 2 hours of sleep and be like, and I'm like,
I know guys like that.
It's wild. They're just built different. So first of all, I was impressed. And honestly, I was a little bit nervous at first. I was a little bit intimidated because he's like, dude, like, I built like all these multi-million-dollar call centers, and he's just like so confident. And I was a little bit like, oh, but I was like, I believe in myself. I'm gonna take a bet. And he sounds like a great guy. And so we started working together on the crypto project and just building trust over time. I mean, we would be in the trenches like 14 hours a day, just like having a blast building in crypto, like building our community out, all that stuff. And he never missed a day. I never missed a day. I could always count on him, and we always had each other's back. And, we've been working together every day since then. So back then it was like 7 days a week. Now we, sometimes get to take a weekend here or there. I know he never does because he's always got to go out on the weekends with our investors and partners and stuff. But
he's in Vegas, right?
Yeah.
Yeah. Okay. Yeah. And are you there much?
Not too often, but I do make it down once in a while. Yeah.
Once in a while. It's a different environment down
there.
Oh,
for sure. Yeah.
Do you like it here more or there?
I think I like it here more. I don't think I'm built for like that fast-paced city lifestyle personally.
Sounds like a guy from Vegas.
Yeah.
He's on top of it.
Yeah.
So you guys have been working together for 5 years. I mean, obviously you've built quite a team out, quite a kind of exploratory project. Like, how visionary are you both together? You, him, how aligned are you guys on that?
Oh, we're like aligned on everything. We work very well together. Obviously, if there's something that I don't agree with, I'll tell him right away. Like if he's rambling on too much, I'm like, dude, like, or like, this is a terrible idea. And we have no, like, it's not like walking on eggshells. Like it's very aligned and very like easy to chat with one another. We can tell each other how it is without, having to worry about it. But on the visionary aspect, we're completely aligned. I've learned a lot from him in terms of like how to sell the vision, things like that. He's like an incredible salesman. So I've learned a lot from him and kind of put my own spin on things throughout the time. But because originally I had him as a project manager, and then, we were working with some partners and stuff. And it was like, dude, like you're way better at selling this. Like you're way more charismatic, all this stuff. So he ended up, we both agreed it would be better. He took the CEO role and I took the COO role, and it's worked phenomenally.
Nice, man. So you're on the operations side, then you're very much managing the team and keeping everyone in line.
Exactly, managing the team, and then working. Obviously, I do a lot of stuff in like systems. Making sure that our company stays on top of all the trends as they arise. Figuring out, relating to our various different advisors, investors, partners, shareholders, recruitment. I do a lot of that as well, sourcing talent. And then he's more like directly investor focused, new leads, pulling in, in-person contacts, brand partnerships, things like that. So it works really well.
Yeah, it's not an easy thing to mind, man. It's not anything to find at all. Like, it's not a perfect science when you get into business with someone and you try and navigate this water. And it's like, it takes some time. It takes a high level of discipline. And I commend anyone that, takes this path for a long enough time and realizes that, you got to stick with it. And there's a graph. Alex Hormozi has this slide. I think Tony Robbins did something similar too, but it's essentially like the initial excitement, the valley of despair, and the slow, gradual, incline back to somewhere where you can be comfortable in your business. Most people get stuck at that excitement. They never get out of that valley of despair. If you had to give me just like your mindset right now and how you're handling everything, where would you be on that line and scale? And how do you handle the good and the bad?
Yeah, absolutely. I think like my brain has compartmentalized that portion. But it's definitely true. I mean, when you get into it, there's this initial excitement. You feel like, man, this is going to be so easy. You're hyped up on motivation. And then it's like, oh, dude, you got to like, you need a pitch deck. Oh, you need to like design everything really good. And then you're like, oh man, I don't even know how to start making a pitch deck. Like what, how do I do this? And am I going to do it correctly? Like, is everyone going to think it's stupid? And then you're like, your brain is like looking at this massive task. There's also like this meme. It's like before you start and it's like the boulder's like this big. And then it's like halfway through, it's this big. And then it's like looking back on it, it's like this big. Yeah. But like all these new little tasks that get introduced throughout the process are like these massive things that you're like, man, how do I even overcome it, right? And I think the number one thing is just like not quitting when those things happen. And just like learning and finding a way no matter what, how to get through it. And then you look back on it in 6 months to a year and you're like, man, that's easy to me. And throughout those challenging times is when you gain the most amount of skills. And you're doing the work that other people quit at. So you're becoming more valuable, not only as a human, like to other people in your friend group, things like that. But then you're also having valuable skills that the marketplace values. Like you could become an advisor to somebody who struggles with that problem that you had to overcome. So I think it's framing those problems that come up throughout the valley of despair as necessary stepping stones to growing the skills that's going to make you more valuable to the marketplace as a person. And just being willing to keep putting in the work. And I think a lot of that is, having the right, there's some solopreneurs, but I think a lot of it is having the right sounding board, the right business partner who's there to keep you motivated and work together on something. I think it's a lot easier to work together, which is why a lot of venture capitalists, typically don't like solo founders as much.
Yeah.
It's because
you find that? Just sidebar, but you find venture capitalists are more into partnerships.
Yeah, I think there's a statistic. I think it's like 70 to 80% of deals are, maybe don't quote me on the percentage, but it's the vast majority of people don't like solo founders. They'll want you to bring on a second founder just because it's a lot easier. I don't know if that's the mental aspect, but I've seen that in my life. Like working with great people like Jason has really helped me. And to your point earlier about limiting beliefs, I think one of the ways, like a lot of people will sit in the mirror and be like, I am not, I am valuable. Like I am confident. But I think a lot of it comes through putting the reps. And then secondly, seeing people that you're close to doing the thing that you were afraid of, I think is one of the biggest unlocks, because humans learn through like the mirror psychology. And when somebody who's in your immediate circle, who you're very close to, you see them, hit 1 million views on YouTube, you see them do whatever, and you're like, man, okay, like
now this is doable.
It's possible.
Yeah.
Before your brain was like, this isn't even possible. I'll tell you an anecdote. When I first started hiring, I made a good hire. Like he was like a senior artist at EA. He's been with us for 2 years. He's one of the most amazing people I know. But there was people where it was like, oh, this guy was the senior VP of Atari for 20 years. And, this guy was, XYZ at this big company. And I wouldn't even take the meeting because I was like, oh, there's no way that guy's going to come work for me. Right.
Yeah.
And then I remember showing Jason the list of like the applicants, and he's like, oh, give me that guy, senior VP of Atari, give me that guy. I was like, what? Like, I was like, no way.
Whoa.
And then, I got in the meeting and he just killed it. And then, that guy wanted to join us. And I was like, no way that guy wants to join us.
Yeah.
But it unlocked in my brain. I was like, oh man, like all of this is possible. And I would first get into I remember the first meeting I took without Jason there, because he took like the first like 5 or 10 calls we were doing. And I remember the first meeting I took, I was like super nervous. Like I had sweat dripping down my armpits and everything like that.
Yeah.
But I did it and it worked, and I closed him. And then it was just like, after that, I had, half the amount of sweat dripping down my armpits. I did it, I closed it. And then now it's like, I'll get into a meeting with, these massive venture capitalists and things like that. And it's all just like another meeting, right? Like it's very much the same thing. So I think first of all, like putting in the reps, if you don't have that light to kind of shine it on you, just be like, screw it. Let's just like put myself in the most uncomfortable position as possible and try it and see what happens. If they say no, they say no. But 50% of the time or more, they're going to say yes. So why not try it? And then ultimately, like surrounding yourself around those people who are, better than you, or who believe in themselves more than you, to kind of unlock that in yourself has been, massive for me at least.
Yeah, you need people around you that believe in you more than you believe in you sometimes, because it's hard to see your future. Like even your business partner is a great example. You're like, no way, this guy's working for us. And he goes and talks to this guy, CEO of Atari or something, you said, for 20 years. Like you just rapid fired like 5 different examples, and like this guy's just hitting balls out of the park here. But you talk more about that and your circle, and then stacking undeniable proof. Like you just stack on stack on stack. Like I continue to do challenging things, and I find that's one of the biggest differences. Like there's kind of like the longer you do this, the more you recognize patterns in people, and pattern recognition on who has these traits that ultimately lead to someone who can be resilient and can recognize patterns, can stay on a journey for a long time. One of the things I see is how people handle very uncomfortable situations. You throw someone or you make someone feel very uncomfortable. I know a lot of people that freeze and they panic and they regress 5 steps because they cannot handle a certain level. Once they pass that caliber, there's like the higher you go, the more people have died along the way, right? The further you pass and the harder the problem is you're solving. It also means it's harder for everyone else to solve, meaning that if you do that, you are going to be unlocking an exceptional path. And further to that, look at that, eh? We touched on like 3 or 4 topics there, but needless to say, it's stacking, it's connections, it's staying to the journey and going for it, man. And good for you. Like, you talk about it here, but what I know is behind the scenes, it's years of work and questioning, what the hell am I doing? Like everyone's, you're going to lose your job, you're going to lose your life. Like, how did you get through that resilient period in your life?
Yeah.
It never stops, truthfully, but yeah.
Yeah, I used to be way worse at this. Like when I was a teenager or like my younger 20s, I would give up really easily. But I just sort of, once again, it's around being around good people who don't have those traits that kind of rub off on you, and make you and force you to reflect on yourself and be like, dude, why the hell am I giving up so easy? Like I need to be better. And then, yeah, in terms of the challenging portions, it's just, you kind of got to love it. You got to love not necessarily exactly what you're doing, but you got to love the process of getting better. And I think what gets you through the challenging periods is having a clear goal in mind, and just a really big one that you can set yourself up for, and just working towards that every day. There's been moments in my life where I was like super depressed and down, like, very hard times, like, suicidal thoughts, like stuff like that. And in all those moments, I never had something that I was, a clear goal, a big goal that I was working towards and making progress towards every day. And I think when you have that sort of purpose and vision in your life, it's like, even if you're not at the finish line, it's like, dude, I made 10 calls today, I closed an employee, like, we just made a brand partnership. And it's like all these little mini wins that you get along the way give you purpose and make you feel like, the hard things are navigatable, I guess. And being able to just lean back on that goal and see the progress you're making every day, even if it's not perfect, I think is just something that's very exhilarating, and it gives you a purpose and meaning in your life. Like ever since I've had a company that I've been working towards, like I've never been depressed. Like I've been like on a mission, and I've been going, and I've been doing the same thing. It's when you're flip-flopping, oh, let's try this for one day and give up the next day. And then you have that loss, and then you try another thing, you have a loss on that. And all of a sudden you're not stacking wins, you're stacking losses. And it's like
you're stacking uncertainty.
Exactly. And that's what most people do. They try one thing, they hop to another thing, they hop to another thing without seeing that pain. Like you said, they'll get excitement, jumped from excitement to excitement. It's like, dude, no, just fucking buckle down, get to it, and keep working on it over a long period of time. That's the only way you're going to be successful, is looking at that long time horizon. I mean, there's outliers, of course. You can build a crazy AI company and sell it in 1 year. I mean, it's happened.
Yeah, like Manus. $2 billion to Meta.
Exactly.
Yeah, but besides that, to your point,
most businesses, don't take off for 5 to 7 years of like actual grinding. So it's like you got to be prepared for that, but you have to see the good in the process and the person you're becoming. Like the real value is the person that you become, the people you meet. Because it's like, they said, I think Henry Ford had a quote. It was like, take all my factories, all my employees, all my money. He's like, I'll have it all back in 2 years. Because it's like who you know and what you know are the important parts that you take from the journey. And I think just framing that in your mind of like every challenge is an opportunity to grow, and being willing to go through the uncomfort is the way that you get through that year.
Side question, kind of a little off topic, but this is what made me think of that, is teaching that to people and learning like what wealthy people actually teach their children outside of an inherent advantage monetarily with money, is those lessons, and is doing that and teaching your kids how to think about money, how to think about problems, and how to stay on a mission. Like, first of all, I'm gonna ask this question point blank, but do you see yourself having kids in a family at some point? And what are some of the lessons that you would teach kind of the next generation?
Yeah, absolutely. I do want to have kids in a family at some point, for sure. I've always looked at it through a lens of, I want to become the person that I would want my kids to be before I had kids.
Okay. Yeah.
I'm not the kind of guy to have kids, pop them out when I'm super young. I'm 31 now, and ultimately I would like to wait until I sell my company before I had kids. The reason being, I just wanted to be the kind of person who actually had the knowledge to teach my kids which way to go in life. And sorry, what was the gist of the question? What would you
teach the next generation?
Yeah, I think I would just teach
Carl's book of wisdom, pretty much.
Yeah, I think I would just teach, those kind of core lessons that are not necessarily industry specific or business specific, but just apply to all facets of life. I don't think I'm someone who's going to tell my kids, hey, this is the path that you have to go down. My parents never did that to me, and I feel like I turned out pretty well. Once again, that's a small sample size, so maybe statistically it's better to tell them what to do, but I always heard that it's a terrible thing. So I would just teach them the core lessons and be there when they're going through those troubles. And I think it's more of a impromptu thing. Obviously, you want to teach them as it's going, but as they're encountering a challenge, it's like, okay, well, how do we look at this? Like, what is the framework that we see this? Like, look, you're becoming a way better person. This is going to make you more valuable, yada, yada, yada. And just instilling those lessons in real time as kind of like an advisor and a coach, versus like preemptively dumping a bunch of knowledge that, maybe is not as applicable to their situation at the time.
Yeah.
But I don't know. I've not read like a lot of kids books, or I've not really prepared for it a ton.
Yeah, it's a big question, man. Not everyone's got the same objective there, and it adds a whole layer of complexity. Now you're a business guy, now you're a family guy, now you're a husband guy, now you're your wife guy. I just think, as you get older, you think about that more and more, right? And it's like, when does that come for me? Does that make sense? Like, who is the person I want to be? Like, I don't want to bring kids into this world if I'm, not the person I feel is worthy of that in some way. Something that I think about a lot and just on my mind right now, like I almost feel as if I don't deserve the victory without the pain. Like I'll put myself through more suffering than necessary. And I find, unfortunately, a lot of other successful entrepreneurs do the same thing. Like Elon Musk was an example. He does not have to work as much as he does, and he does anyway. He continues to just like put himself through mind-wrenching hell. And whether you agree with the guy or not, you can't bank him for what he's achieved out there, or like a guy like Jeff Bezos, or even like more locally, like a Dan Martell and the struggles that he's been through. Do you find that with you? Like the suffering, I guess, but the pain that it takes to build a business? Like, do you find that, or have you managed to kind of exit the struggling entrepreneur era of your life?
Oh, well, yeah, I completely agree. Entrepreneurship requires a disproportionate amount of pain. But I think that there is ways to manage that I've learned over the time. When I was first starting, and through, let's rephrase this differently. I think that there are periods of pain that are disproportionate in your journey, where you must go through them. And those kind of forge you into a better entrepreneur. Do I think it's healthy to be in constant pain in entrepreneurship? I don't believe it.
No.
I don't subscribe to it. I know a lot of people kind of preach that, like, you need to always be in pain, but it's like, dude, if you're working out 24/7 and you never have any rest, are your muscles going to build? It's like, no, they're going to be dead, right? So I think the best way to do it is kind of like Dan Martell speaks about, is like, you're almost delegating your pain, right?
Yeah.
So the reason you're in pain is because you're trying to do 100 different things at the same time, and you only have 12 hours a day to get that done before you're absolutely shot. If you're working deep work, it's more like 4 to 6 hours a day of like focused, intentional work before your brain just scatters. So like things like buy back your time, like Dan Martell, I mean, you're starting to offload your pain onto others who, for them, it's not as painful because they have all day that they can work on. So I think, and ultimately, like when you're looking at a company, you do not want to be the linchpin in that company, because if you come down and the whole stack of cards comes down, you don't have a company. Like you have like a job that you're holding up like Atlas on your shoulders.
Pretty much.
So no acquirer will want to acquire a company where you're the linchpin. You want to build systems and people and procedures and managers that can hire things where the only tasks that are left for you are the very high impact and high leverage tasks that only you can do. And I think by creating your company and building it in a way that you have that, there's far less pain involved. Though, yeah, there's times where it's very challenging, it's very painful, and especially like in the valley of despair, times like that where you don't have the skill set to overcome a certain obstacle, and now you're learning how to deal with this and navigate it while having to do it. And you have a deadline. You have to do it yesterday.
And you're in $50,000 in debt, by the way.
Yeah,
it's like,
you're like,
problem stacks, right?
How do I deal with this, right? But I think that as you get better and as you build a team around yourself, as you learn the skills, it becomes more of like a rinse and repeat process. I think your business should essentially be running itself very smoothly, and you need to make a few inputs here and there, but if you're trying to do it all on your own and you're feeling an immense amount of pain and it's something that can be delegated or hired away, I would say do that for your own mental health and sanity.
Yeah.
But does that mean be lazy and, sit around and play video games all day and, watch TV? Absolutely not. I think you need to be spending your time on those highest leverage tasks. You need to be becoming better as a person, learning, doing what you can do and making the most of your time. And I think inherently as entrepreneurs, I think we have that motivation to always be doing something anyways. It's not something that we have to force ourselves into.
It's like the busy diagnosis. Just staying busy for the sake of staying busy because you want to be productive.
Exactly.
Right? What does productivity actually mean? It's like measurable productivity. Not I'm quote unquote busy doing stuff for 8 hours.
Right.
A lot of that from buy back your time. Actually, I think about that too. Very interesting. Yeah.
Yeah. It's an incredible thing, and it definitely works. I actually haven't read it yet, to be honest. I want to read it. When I talked to Dan,
you quoted the book, so it sounds like you got.
When I talked to Dan 2 years ago, he was like, "No, actually, at your stage, I wouldn't read this book. I would read this book." So I was like, "Okay." But now I think it would be valuable. But I think I actually just heard sound bites and stuff in some of Dan's clips, and I agree with a lot of them. And there were a lot of things I was already doing. So, it's just incredible advice. And I think delegating it out to other people to make sure that you have your time spent on the highest leverage activity tasks. And if you're truly doing deep work, oftentimes I'll do weeks where I'm I deep work 1 hour of this, 1 hour of this, 1 hour of this, turn off all distractions, focus on it, use 100% of my brain power. It's dude, you'll get done more than most people get done in 12 hours. And I think in the book, Deep Work, I think by Cal Newport, it talks about how we only really have truly 4 hours of deep work capacity before our brains just kind of run out. But we can be doing busy work for 12 hours a day, but you're checking Instagram, you're going onto your LinkedIn, scrolling, the amount of, like you said, measurable things that get finished, you can often do them in 4 hours blocks of deep work. It's pretty incredible. So to long answer to your short question, delegate the pain. Don't be someone who's just sitting there and thinking you need to be in pain 24/7. I don't think that's healthy. Well, a good amount of pain is necessary. And there are times where for a prolonged periods in your journey, you will feel a lot of pain. I don't think you're always going to be underwater. If you're underwater right now, you're not always going to be underwater. So push through it.
End of the tunnel.
Yeah,
no, for sure, man. And the delegating thing too is, it's a very easy trap to get into because for a lot of people on paper, they say, well, I can do this and I don't have to pay someone, but you got to create your own. What are you worth an hour, right? Why is the founder doing tasks that can be done for $20 an hour or $25 an hour? Guys that are going and managing their inbox and their calendar. And I mean, I'm guilty of some of these, not all of them, but some of these. And you think about it, it's okay, well, I bring someone and I pay them this. What am I, I'm basically lowering my worth to this amount if I don't delegate this stuff. And then to your point earlier about pain, one thing I made a mental note of is your dreams need to be big enough for everyone else's to fit inside. If you're not continuing to push the needle, you will not attract talent required to make your own dreams come true, to make other dreams come true. Your, I guess, biggest dreams and ambitions, you touched on that a little bit at the beginning and talking about, moving mountains and universe-changing dents, as you put it. What do your kind of biggest dreams and aspirations look like?
Yeah, I would say, there's 3 things that I'm interested in right now, whether or not somebody solves them before me. I've been looking at a lot of research. One of them is wildfires. I mean, there's certain ways that you can look at it in terms of here's business ideas for you guys. They have very good satellites right now at detecting wildfires, hotspots. So if you could have some sort of system whereby a drone using some sort of proprietary fire repellent that's eco-friendly, whatever, drone swarms or long distance drones that could fly within, 5 to 10 minutes of a hotspot and contain that entire area. I think that would be a very interesting thing. And you could sell it to municipalities and governments across the globe.
Government's a good client to have.
For a ton of money. So wildfires. The other is microplastics. I mean, the oceans, what we're drinking, things like that. I mean, microplastics are in 99% of us or something like that right now. So figuring out a way either to, get rid of those out of the body or just, get rid of them in completion. Another thing that I'm really passionate about is equality in terms of living conditions for everyone. So that might involve, with AI, displacing a lot of jobs. That might involve a complete rehaul of the economy and mobilizing top economists, top philosophists, religious leaders, even like government officials, to really put together think tanks around how are we going to do this sort of post-scarcity society where
post-scarcity. Yeah, I've heard that a few times now. Not phrased in the same way, but post-scarcity.
Yeah.
Other people are doing it for us, or other beings almost. Man, we've got this alien-like creature that can now take on these tasks that no one ever dreamed up, right? But it allows us to dream much bigger than we ever could.
Right, and those things are like the only reason that we work today, mainly is to get things done in the economy, right? Like we need food, so we need truckers to truck the food. We need fruit, so we need farmers to grow the fruit. We need pickers to pick it. We need people to sort it and pack it. We need people at the grocery store to sell it. So it keeps us alive. It's literally a necessity. We need the wood around us to be cut and transformed through the various models of transformation and then distributed to us. And we need home builders to build the homes and so that we can live in them, right? So it's all based out of necessity. Obviously, there's a lot of the economy now that's driven by excess and things that we want rather than what we need. But ultimately, those are also needs of human connection and things like that that we're tapping into. So I think the post-scarcity society, it's like we don't need people to do those things anymore. So it's like, what do we do, right? But
what the hell do we do there, man? Yeah.
So I don't know. But what I've learned is that you can, if you have a vision that is so incredible, you're solving a problem so big and it's something so exciting, like you can recruit the best people in the world to work for it, no problem. So if you're like delusionally like, dude, I'm going to solve world hunger and I know I'm going to solve it and this is like my framework for doing it, and you come up with an innovative spin on it, I guarantee you could bring in the leading researchers for world hunger, like the best economists, like all this stuff. And once you get one peg in the flywheel, it becomes so much easier to attract new people. So
momentum, right? The compound effect,
exactly. So you try to get the best you can, and then with that, it's like a fishing, right? So in fishing, you need a small little minnow. You take that minnow, you throw it out, and it's like, oh shit, like I just caught a fish that's 10 times as big. You take that fish that's 10 times as big, you throw it out, boom, oh man, I just caught a bigger fish. And now you throw that fish back out, boom, I got a shark. And it's like, you got a shark, boom, I got a whale, right? So it's like, you use what you have, the biggest parts of what you have, you present it to the world, to your prospective employees, things like that in a very attractive way. And then that allows them to be attracted. You bring in bigger and bigger people. All the time your belief, like you said, I think it was like the repeated exposure of belief, or I can't remember exactly, but it's something that started with
stacking undeniable proof.
Exactly, stacking undeniable proof. And then you do that over and you stack the undeniable proof that you can use what you have to get something 10 times better. It's like those videos, those guys, they trade from like a paper clip to a Ferrari or whatever. It's
I
like,
always love that stuff. I eat that up. Like I don't watch a whole lot of TV anymore, but one of the episodes, you ever seen The Office?
Yeah, I have. I didn't watch it a lot, but I've seen a few episodes.
There's one episode where one of the main characters, Rainn Wilson, plays him. He's a very cool guy too, by the way. He's a very smart business mind as well, but he trades up basically from nothing, and he's a salesman too, right? He's like, you need this, you got to impress your boyfriend, and then he's going up, and I always loved that episode. I'm like, dude, this is awesome. Like he's, you know what I mean? He started with literally a paperclip, ends with the telescope. It's like, whoa, like, where are you providing value? How do you pitch yourself? Like the whole sell me this pen thing is that it's got nothing to do with the pen,
exactly,
and everything to do with
the person presenting it and the vision behind it, the ideology. Because why do people join a religion or something like that? It's because the ideology religion let's just say, why do people join a cult, for example? Like it's the ideology sounds so attractive that it might be the most rich person in Hollywood, but this ideology and the way that it's sold to him catches something in his mind, and he's all of a sudden like, whoa. So it's not only about what you have, it's about that input in between what you have and who you are, and the input that you can add to that in terms of your vision that can create like magic. I think like in like the 15th centuries and stuff, like magic actually was like the word abracadabra. It actually meant like I create as I speak. And if you look like in the very esoteric fashion, like we've basically created our entire vision off of words and vision. So it's like power of the words is very highly underestimated. And if you can create something compelling enough, people will drink the Kool-Aid. You know what I mean? So
sure. Yeah.
that's the biggest part of it. And I love how you said the example of like, you could just have the pen and be like, hey, would you trade me the pen for the stapler or cup of water? And they'll be like, hell no. Yeah. But if you're like, dude, bro, like this pen is a very sentimental pen. Like it was the first pen I used to ever close a deal, and it means so much to me. And, I wanted to pass it on to you, but like, I really want a cup of water. I'm so thirsty right now, but this pen is very special, but I would be willing to trade you for the water, and you'd be doing me a huge favor because I really need a glass of water right now. Like there's a big difference between just like straight up doing it and putting a spin on it in a story that is meaningful to get people to.
Or if let's say I'm on the other end of the table, I flip that. I ask, when's the last time you had a drink of water? Are you fully hydrated right now? How are your needs right now? What are you in demand of? Well, I'm a little thirsty, man. I've eaten, and I've seen a video where it's funny. So this happened to me in real life, and then there's a video about this. I was 13, and this woman came in and did a presentation in our assembly. And about 20 minutes in, she goes into her backpack and she pulls out a Coke, right? And she cracks it. Every single eye is on her. Every single person, like the kids that were on their phone, the kids under the bleachers, everyone looks. You're probably thirsty right about now, aren't you? And I was like, what is going on here? What is she playing in my mind right now that's doing this? And then I saw a video about this probably like 2 weeks ago. That's what made me think of it again, of someone doing that in a, I want to say like a business seminar or something. And they were losing the crowd and they pulled out a soda can and cracked it. And it's like, oh, guess what? Are you a little thirsty now, aren't you? What do you need? Like, where are your needs? Right? Focus on the person, have something that you can present to them that, they need, right? No different than focusing on the problem. You've got a video game. What does this person need? What does my ideal avatar actually look for? Wow. They're thirsty for a game, man. Like that's what they need, right? So yeah, that's a little off topic, but yeah, definitely.
That's an amazing insight too. Like I think, flipping it, I think that's like a typical way of looking at a lot of sales pitches. Well, not a typical way, but a very effective way is, digging in, asking more questions and solving some of the problems that they're wanting, because there's specific tells and things that, you might be able to solve, but you weren't even aware that that's what they were looking for, but you do that exact thing. But maybe if you have like a scripted pitch or something, you wouldn't usually present that in it. So digging in first is something that I need to do more of actually personally, is like digging in, even investor calls, like asking them a few questions first of like, what is your ideal thing and things like that, and digging into more. So I think, thanks for teaching me that. I've definitely
kind of been forced to, because you run a podcast and you ask questions all day. I'm like, well, I can't talk about me, right? You know what I mean? Yeah. Like you got to throw the ego out the window and, try and figure out what makes someone else tick. And I think you find that out, and there's a lot of power in it, and there's also a lot of opportunity. If you find out what makes other people tick, like what do you think companies pay billions and billions of dollars for to find market research on? Instagram analytics, Meta, Google, Facebook, Microsoft. Facebook, Meta is the same thing, but they're paying billions of dollars for this user data. What does my customer want, right? They have the want, they have the demand. All these other companies are what they need, and they get paid billions of dollars to connect .A to .B.
Wow, and you can ascertain that with like a few simple questions at the beginning of a meeting, or like starting to do something like that. You get all of that data that people would pay millions and billions of dollars to get with that potential client that you have or whatever. Within a few questions of the meeting, they'll just freely give it to you. So that's something I need to use more, man. I typically, I'll ask a couple questions, but I don't dive in enough, I think, to certain calls. And, I've had a lot of success doing it, but I think that would be another arrow in the quiver that would be very beneficial to put in for sure.
I like that saying, man. Cool. Yeah. Well, we're just about wrapped up here, but I did want to briefly mention this photo here, and maybe
this is awesome, dude.
So I thought I'd throw this together. Tell me what's going on in both of these photos. And then obviously your logo, like give me a little bit about kind of your gaming company and what you guys are all about.
Yeah, for sure. So these photos, first of all, this one here is an AI rendition of me climbing a gym. So I've been
exposed yourself.
No. So I've been trying to practice content. I know you've been doing great on the content stuff too as well. I'm trying to practice short form content, build a bit of an audience. So I saw a viral video and I kind of clipped it together and made a hook with that. So that's just some of like the personal stuff. This was at Evolve. Evolve. It was a business mastermind event. I went to the VIP room. It was incredible. We met a lot of really cool people there. Some people from Kelowna. Shout out to, I think, Alex, the mortgage pug. He put that on.
Yeah.
Really great stuff. Awesome guy. And yeah, so it was a great event here in Kelowna.
Yeah.
And then number 2, Valiant Games. So we are building a mobile game. It's celebrity backed. We've raised nearly $1 million in capital, built a $4 million production build with some of the top talent in the world. We're backed by billionaire investors and celebrities, all sorts of good stuff. We're building a very unique product in a very competitive industry, but we've added some very innovative features that are, just haven't been done. And we've unlocked entirely new streams of revenue. Mm-hmm. That haven't been done in this industry, but have been done successfully in other industries. Mm-hmm. But because of our team has done, some of the top games in the world, like Project Makeover did $850 million in revenue, Cookie Jam $800 million in revenue, Matching Dimension 300 million players, things like that. We have a lot of unique insights from within those operations, and I've kind of picked their brains a lot and understood some of the core problems that maybe even they didn't realize, and solve those problems. And so we believe that we're unlocking an entirely new stream of revenue that will push this product into the billions, if not the multiple billions in revenue, because of those proven monetization mechanics in other genres that have not been proven specifically in this genre because of some secret problems that I will not mention now. But yeah, so lots of cool stuff we've been doing. We could talk about it for days, but that's the rundown.
Yeah, I find people that really love what they're doing have a really hard time compressing everything into like a 2-minute segment. It's so hard, man. It's like, this is my life for years, and I got to talk about it like this is my shot.
Especially when you're trying to not say all this stuff about your game, because I have a very short elevator pitch I could give you that I give to investors and people, but just like the general public who I don't know, I can't quite give
more buy into you rather than buying into whatever game, right? I think is the idea, and people follow you and personal brand, like both of us getting content on the flywheel here a little more. So I think there's just a ton of value in that. It gives you, man, there's just so much leverage you get from having a following and having a brand out there that doesn't really come from much else. Like, you can't be the exception of like actors, musicians, kind of other types of celebrities. Like, you can't be in the 90s anymore where you're just important for having money. Like, there's guys with millions of dollars that just sit in a house all day and do nothing, right? Like, it's changed. It's now brand. It's now, what are you out there? Like, we're in a new world, and adapt to the times, right?
100%. Yeah, the personal brand is going to be more important than ever in the age of AI, where distribution, as I said prior, was the main moat that you have now. So if you're not building a personal brand, like, you're going to be left in the dust in terms of like distributing any products that you want, unless, like I said, you can find out a unique situation to the problem, which is only going to get bigger when the number one bottleneck for everyone is distribution, and they're all competing for the same eyeballs, right? So like you said, I think it's a very important thing, and I'm glad we're both working on it right now.
Yeah, no, me too. I saw a post, man. It was like, this is the first generation where a camera can make you more money than a degree can. I was like, what the hell? Did you go to school?
I went to school for a year.
Okay.
Yeah. And then I left.
Yeah, you got out of there,
Yeah.
I did a degree, and like, I think about that, and I did a whole video on that recently. Should you go to university? It was a big segment, and it's a big question, I think, for a lot of people nowadays. But needless to say, like, I would probably agree with that for the most part. Like, it's so industry specific, and I'm taking like thousands of things and digesting it into one. But very generally, like, the camera and quote unquote the content and the ability to do that has now surpassed take an arts degree, for example. What are you going to do with that versus someone who spent 4 years building a brand? Completely different.
Oh, right? I would. Yeah. Me and my business partners say this all the time. We're like, dude, we could have gone and got a master's degree in business, but it's like putting in the reps and actually doing it. Like, we've learned, and not only that, you'll learn stuff, but you don't internalize it. We've learned, internalized, networked, made a massive network of amazing, influential people that can help us out whenever. And it's like, I would never do it differently. Like, versus like going in and then you're trying to find a job. Like, why not just get started? If like that specifically for business, like for other things, like maybe it's like mechanical engineering, but even that, like with AI, the way it is these days, I'd be very nervous if I was, first year university student or getting into university, just because things change so rapidly that, your entire career future could be wiped out and you're left in debt. That
we're on this insane fucking growth curve of AI now. Like, that's why I did that video. It's like, I couldn't imagine being 17 trying to figure this out. And like, truthfully, they're not probably thinking of everything that we are right now, but making that decision and like, what's still going to be consistent in 100 years from now, right? Like, it's hard to think of, but needless to say, we're here, we're square, and the world keeps moving, right?
You just got to keep going.
Yeah, sweet.
Keep moving forward.
Pleasure, man, dude. Love having you on here. Like, bring it in. We'll